Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Human Design Advantage. My name is Jen.
This is Danny. How's it going?
Wonderful. Dan, how are you this evening?
I'm doing really well, Jen. I'm rather excited, and we're talking about the big man, so I might be a little nervous at first.
We are, but don't worry. I got some introductions real quick. Tonight, this is our Wednesday show, so we're going to be going over celebrity analysts, and tonight we're going to be doing Donald Trump. But before we get started into that, please make sure you like and subscribe and follow the show. We are also going to be working on monetizing this channel. So if you do subscribe, that does help us get the views and share this out if you know people that would enjoy it. And me and Dan were talking. So my travel company also helps monetize. So I'm going to show a short clip on that. And then we're going to go ahead and dive into the show.
All right. That was nice, Jen.
Thank you, Dan. Yes, I've been, I had that one, so I figured I'd just pull it out and reuse it.
I can't wait till you're helping us travel.
Oh, well, we're definitely putting that in the works. So definitely stay tuned, guys, for that. Me and Dan are talking about doing some.
Getting the show on the road.
Getting the show on the road, actually.
Yeah.
Well, last week's show, I thoroughly enjoyed it. You were spot on with what I know to be Angelina Jolie. So, guys, if you haven't checked out that show, make sure that you do that. And tonight, I am super excited to be going over Donald Trump.
Yep, Donald Trump is our target for tonight, and he's an interesting man. So there's a lot there in his body graph to really go over. I've got it up on my phone, too. And so forth. I wonder if there's any questions that stand out. So here we're looking at a body graph of one Donald J. Trump. What was he, the 45th president? And the person who couldn't help but to speak. So, Jen, is there a question that you think might be appropriate to ask, and or I'll just dive right in?
Dive right in, because there's, at this point, I mean, we can go in so many different directions, but I really want to see what comes to you first.
Okay.
And I know that there's going to be questions after.
Yeah, and let the questions rain along the way, if that makes sense too. So
wonderful.
As always, go to Jovian Archive to get your chart, your kid's chart, your husband's chart, wife's chart. It's right there at the top, and you just plug in the information, and time is always by military time. So if it's after 12 noon, it's 1300 or 1800 hours and so forth. And send your charts in, and I'll just start talking about it. That's what we're doing here. We're going to bring awareness onto the planet, and we're starting here tonight with Mr. Donald. Let me maximize my screen here.
Yes, guys, and if you have questions for Dan about Donald Trump's chart, drop them in the chat, and I will post them up on the screen, and he will answer them when he sees them.
Yep. You might need to read them out for me.
I will do that.
What we're looking at here now, we've gone through 9 of our 10 sections of our past series that we're demystifying human design. And we talked about all kinds of stuff. So first thing you notice is the difference between all the openness, the stuff that's in white, and all the stuff that's colored in. So there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to deal with a couple things that Donald might feel a little bit uncomfortable with. That open G center in the center of this body graph. This is a man who all of his life has concerned himself on and off, depending how his spirit felt. He's concerned himself with love and direction. Is he in the right direction with the right love? And that's not just love of a woman or a girlfriend or a wife. It's love. We're all expansive enough on this show to recognize love is love. I love my pet rock. I love this. I love that. I love that quote. I love myself. I love myself in a direction. That's the primary source of this. When you have an open G center, sometimes you can't tell if you're in the right direction with your love. So it can lead to, doing things that make a person act out of not thinking they're in the right direction with the right love. So make of that what you will. Just think of the keynote itself. The open center down at the very bottom, the open root center.
That's like me and you, Dan.
Yep, just like us. Yep, it's common enough. 55 or 60% of the people have an open root center. And that puts us under pressure. And the reason I'm bringing these open centers up first, is because A, to get them out of the way, and B, to point out the pressure sandwich and what it's doing. So not only is there are two pressure centers on a body graph, the root center at the bottom, and then there's the head center at the top, and that's completely open. So that center up at the top allows things to come in where it's too much stuff. Too much stuff can come into Donald. Sometimes Donald finds himself thinking about things that don't matter, thinking about too many things. It's all about trying to answer all the other questions and then recognizing you don't have to answer all the other questions. You don't have to hold on to all the questions. You don't have to be the question. You're simply the conduit for the inspiration on the planet that asks lots of questions and knows lots of things. So if you have it wide open, the question to ask yourself, if you have this open on your body graph, is, are you thinking about things that don't matter? And the last open center on the far left is that spleen, and there's a lot of action off that spleen, pointing at it and on it.
Yep.
So when you have an open spleen, it's all about, do you feel safe? And do you want to just be spontaneous? Because the spleen is an awareness. It's our
that kind of, I would imagine he would go through that.
Yes.
Feeling safe, especially in his position and what he's here to do. And that I would say that's Donald Trump.
That when you have the center open, building layers and layers of business around you to feel safe would be a thing. You know, Donald Trump would take any risk to stop failure. He's got that gate 32 in there. It's red. It's unconscious. Gate 32 off of the spleen, pointing down at the root. All it does is want to fix anything that appears to be failure. So when Donald Trump is approaching the possibility of failure off that spleen, that triangle on the far left pointing in, and that gate 32, suddenly he will take amazing action to not fail, because it will be a fear of failure. Now, this doesn't mean that Donald Trump walks around being afraid all the time. That's not the point. Fear drives awareness. Fear actually drives intelligence. I'm afraid I'm going to get dead. I'm a caveman. I've said this before. Let's work together. Let's sharpen sticks so we can kill things easier. Fear drives our smarts, makes us smart. When you're afraid, you get smart.
Yes, exactly.
So Donald Trump is always in the process of getting smart. That gate 18 off of this spleen is all about the ability to, and the willingness to, and the recognition of the pattern, logical patterns, correction. It's all about correcting things. Now it's open, so it's intermittent in him. So he surrounds himself by people. He wouldn't know this necessarily unless they know this stuff, that he's always surrounded by people that hook this up. People with the gates on the other ends of the gates that are with him. So there'll be endless gate 20s and gate 44s in his life, endless gate 54 at the end of that 32, and endless gate number 58s at the end of that 18 to complete this circuit for him. So there's no shortage. As soon as there's two people around, that this channels are filled in, and he has a defined spleen. The chances of him not are very low. So it's always there. And I would bet you anything that the people that are in his personal guard, you know how he took his own personal team. This is a person I would absolutely trust personally to select a protective team, his guards, his bodyguards that were around him, because he's got basically, if you have an open spleen, you don't always feel safe. So these make great healers. These make great doctors, because they're always looking into everything that could have made them safe. And over time, it makes them wise. We start out young, acting impulsively. It wants to just act impulsively. That's what the spleen does. It's an impulsive, intuitive, immediate awareness of this is good, this isn't good, this is safe, this isn't safe. It's survival, instinctual awareness. It's perfect for us. And he's got these gates hanging off it. And gate 18, most notably, is the willingness and need to challenge authority. Donald Trump will always find himself in the moment challenging authority. He can't help but to challenge authority because the authority might not have it right. That's all Gate 18 is doing. Its archetype is the challenge of the mother and the father by the child. That's where one first learns what is going on with all of this. And we've all challenged our parents at different times. If you have a Gate 18 in your body graph, you tend to be challenging. People think you're challenging them. People want to fight back because they don't like you challenging them. They're, it's in a collective stream of awareness, which we went over. So that challenge, Jen, it must be shared. He's got to share his challenge of the authority of others
with the collective.
Shared means it is collective. With the collective shared, he can share it with one person. He generally likes to share it on a TV camera when he can help it. That's in the definition, which we'll go over next. But challenge to authority, and when that gate 57 pointing upward to the throat on this open spleen.
Okay.
That's the gate of intuitive awareness. So as soon as he's lived with and without this gate, activated in his life over and over again, he's aware that he has moments of absolute intuitive awareness. And when does that happen? Well, that's in the individual stream of awareness. It's about intuition to penetrate the moment. Donald Trump is always penetrating the moment, making sure he does not fail, and challenging authority of the stuff that needs to be corrected right in the now. Always right now. The man can't help but to speak right now. And it's not only here that this happens. There's several spots in his body graph where that happens. Next cool thing. So up at the top, he's a manifesting generator.
Yep.
Well, he's got a huge, big, fat, open aura. It's a generator's aura. It's open and enveloping. He doesn't get to choose what comes into that aura. He gets to respond to it. He's a generator. His genetic strategy is to respond. When you see the man talking out of turn, he's actually being himself. He's responding to the stimuli that's there. I would guess when he grew up, he got what he wanted mostly. This is a guess. And my other guess is he was left alone a great deal. So a lot of power, a lot of money, left alone, the man could get what he wanted, even as a kid. That was actually not such a bad thing for him as it relates to the being. Now, I'm talking about the human being, not his position in life, his money, all the other stuff. I'm just talking about the person. I'm back at the 5-year-old now. So
right.
We're at the child. So please reserve judgment in case you don't like Donald or whatever. But so all of this stuff that's happening always right in the now, if he was left alone when he was young and he's a manifesting generator, that means he learned how to skip steps. Besides this great big aura that's always open, all generators have an open aura. If you're a manifesting generator, one of the keynotes that shows up for all manifesting generators is, oops, we skip steps. Why? We're in a hurry. We're in a hurry. I'm in a hurry. I've got the generative box lit up in me, the red box, second from the bottom. That makes me a generator. The generator's buzzing with energy, so he's always buzzing with energy until he finally falls asleep. And what's that energy want? It wants it now. It wants it now.
Wow.
Let me get this now. And so here's a now being that if he was lucky, he was left alone enough when he was young to learn how does he successfully skip steps in the now, correcting things that don't work, fixing what has been spoiled, challenging authority, and not failing at it. So even when he fails, he has this ability to look past the failure and say, well, I won't fail next time.
Yes.
I
would say that's accurate. Yes.
That's a thing that just keeps happening in his life. And that's something that's with him. And it's all in a pressure sandwich. So the not self question for the open spleen is, am I hanging on to things that aren't good for me? Am I holding on to stuff? Am I just holding on to things for the sake of feeling safe? So he held on to those election results. That's for sure. I don't know if that was good for him or not good for him. He'll know. Chances are he'll look back and say things, Donald, if you want, call in and correct me if you want. But the truth is, after that election, my guess is you hung on to it through this, emotional wave of yours, which we're going to get to next. But given his age in life and the fact that he was probably raised where he was left to be his own self mostly. My guess is he didn't hold on to it for too terribly long as it relates to the eating him up inside part.
Okay.
I'm eating me up inside part, and we've all had things we held on to that eat us up inside, and they
Yes.
hold on to them for years. My guess is he dispelled that after a few months. Doesn't mean that the rest of them won't say something about it for the rest of the time. It's about what I'm referring to is the holding on part that starts eating you up and making you unhealthy.
Correct.
Holding on, and the archetype of that is one spouse is so abusive to the other, but they have a defined spleen, so the other hangs on to that abusive spouse. It's a common story. It's an archetype.
Yes, because it's filling a need.
Yeah, it's filling the need to feel safe. I'm around it. No, I just feel safe. No, he beats me, but he loves me. That type of thing. It's holding on to things that aren't good for you. I picked he and she because A, I'm a dude, and B, that's the archetype of the example. So it could easily be the other way. It was the other way around for me. I had a relationship with a defined spleen, and I held on to it, and it ended up not being good. And I held on. Friends of mine had to get involved to help undo it. But for the grace of them, I might have been trapped in that. I didn't know. What are you going to do? You don't know. So when I stack up these keynotes, there's a pressure to think about things that don't matter, and a pressure that wants to make him hurry up and get rid of that pressure while he's deciding if it makes him feel safe, and is he in the right direction, and is he still holding on to things that give him the right love and direction. He's under pressure to be in the right love and direction, holding on to things that may or may not be good for him. So that shows up in his life here and there. Someone could pipe in with examples of that. That would be who he is not. If he learned to skip steps successfully as a younger child, he carried that into adulthood and probably didn't hold on to things that weren't good for him for very long. I would
say that would be an accurate statement, because he's
more likely accurate than not.
I mean, love him or hate him, whatever your view is, and we're just reading the chart as it is. But I mean, yes, before even the election or anything like that, you could see that throughout his life.
Yep.
Him doing that. And success, what success is, well, failure is a lesson learned. Success is a lesson learned applied. And that sounds exactly like what he did.
A lesson learned of what, Jen?
Failure is a lesson learned.
Yep.
Success is a lesson learned applied.
Applied. Yep. Right. Literally applied. And so he's been applying the successes of his failures his whole life. That's the deal with that. That's Donald's shtick. Now let's look at his definition. So this manifesting generator, he's a 1-3 profile. That 1-3 is the authoritarian. The first line is, I'm the boss. I'm the boss. It's also the introspective one. So Donald Trump sometimes shuts up. He's introspective. He doesn't want to talk. He goes away. He literally gets out of Dodge because he's got to look inward, introspection on whatever's going on. I've seen plenty of times when he did press conferences, and I could tell he didn't want to be there. He did not want to be there. It was not the right place for him, which, by the way, is another keynote for an Open G Center. If you're not with the right people and the right energies, you're not in the right place quickly. And on the reverse, if you're not in the right place and you're just not sure, because if you have an open spleen, you can't intuitively be aware in the moment like you can, Jen. There's no good. You could be right at a door, Jen, and it's like you go to turn the handle and you change your mind, you walk away. I'm not walking in. I'm not going in. Spleen speaks. He doesn't have that. So he opens the door, walks in, and immediately recognizes he's not in the right place. He's immediately not with the right people. All the body language changes. People move away from him. He'll move away from them. He doesn't want to talk. He'll look away, all the stuff. But I love the skipping steps part in this 1-3 profile, because not only is that 1-3 sort of the chameleon, it can blend in, and he's always able to blend in. It's also the empath. It's the empath, and it's the creative way of to have an inspiration that is independent of will, independent of ego. His creative way is to have sudden, shocking, independent of anything else, creativity that shows up out of nowhere.
Interesting.
I'm going to run for president now. Okay. Now he may say, "Oh, I've been planning that out for a long time," but the moment in which he was inspired to do it, that was in a moment. And as the empath, the first line has empathy for its role in listening. So when Donald Trump is not under threat, he listens. And I'm willing to bet people that meet him say, you know what? He listens. He listened to me. He was warm. Even if it was only in a minute, he heard the thing because Donald Trump's ear is always to the ground listening. You can't help it. Now that third line, which is unconscious in him, you're going to love this. The third line, the keynote for the third line, genetically speaking. Now remember, this is genetic. He can't help it. Oh, one more thing. Bonding strategy of that first line is the caveman. Knock him over the head, take him home. That's the bonding strategy. It doesn't mean everything works literally that way, but that's what he'll do. That's the general drive. It's like I say it, I like it, knock it over. The caveman is the arc, right? The club, knock him over the head, take him home. That's pretty an archaic, example, but it's an archetype of an example. So this third line, the bonding strategy of the third line isn't knock them over the head, take it home, and do whatever. It's bonds made and broken. Make the bond, break the bond, make the bond, break the bond. How many cabinet members came and left that administration? Like all of them?
Yeah.
Like
all of them? That's a good.
A couple of people stayed, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know if it was all, but it was so many. There was a revolving door. He would make the bond. He would do that. The third line would make that bond. The first line would be the authoritarian. And the authoritarian is just in interaction with the other. And that authoritarian, it wants to lead. He wants to lead as the boss. That's the foundation of leadership, is the authoritarian. First lines are always foundational. He must build a foundation to see if it's something he cares to be the authority on. And the third line will tear it down. The third line is keynoted with the anarchist.
Yep.
So we've got the boss, the introspective one, looking inward, just wondering if he should even do that. Very often not even aware that there's people at the other end, not even aware in the moment, because he's inside himself trying to figure out a foundation. So he comes out with his creative foundation in the moment, and as soon as it doesn't work out, he tears it down. So along with bonds made and broken, there's anarchy. He brings anarchy wherever he goes, because as a manifesting generator, he skips the steps of pleasantries. He skips the steps of, well, I got A, B, C, and D. I'm skipping B and part of C, and we're going straight from A to D with a little bit of C. And I'll go back and pick up the parts later. I'll hire someone to do that. That's Donald. And so if the foundation doesn't work that he built, suddenly he tears it down and starts over. And that's without the awareness of what the new foundation will be. So when people put him on the spot to say, well, what will that new thing be, Donald? He's always saying, I'll get back to you. We're working on it. He's got statements. Don't worry. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be great. Right? This is Donald. It's going to be the best ever. And now he believes that. And very often he accomplishes that. Why? Because when he was growing up, he wasn't told to stop skipping steps. He was let to be and essentially learned how to successfully navigate the hurrying up. I want it now. Everyone's got to give it to him now. Everyone in his company, wherever he is, it's like, don't keep Donald waiting. He's always on time, I would imagine. This man, although he's not always on time, he's a manifesting generator. He skips the step of being on time sometimes. It depends what it's for. My guess is he's generally on time because he's always had these high positions that he has to be.
Yes.
Yep. But the anarchist, I love that line. And guess what that anarchist's creative way is? Its creative way is sustainment. So the first line's creative way is sudden creativity outside of limitation. There's no limitation. And what's he do with that creativity? He sustains. The 1-3 is the great profile of you knock it down, it pops back up. You knock it down, it comes back up. You knock it down, it comes back up. It's like the Weeble that wobbles.
I was just going to say that. It's like the Weeble.
Yes, you can't keep it down until it's dead, essentially, or asleep. Or or sick. If he gets sick, he's down. So, hey, dog. So now let's put this into this body graph. We've got the single definition, which makes him fast. We've got a manifesting generator, makes him fast. We've got this creative way that sustains at what's its impulse in the moment. As an authoritarian, he's the boss. And look at all this emotional definition going to the throat. He's got 15-6. That's down from the sacral. This is what makes his generative life force is 59 going to gate 6. It's unconscious in him. That 59 gate 6 is all about the awareness of intimacy. It's bringing an unconscious. So unconsciously, Donald Trump was always going to make children. This is about mating. This is about making children. This is about the genetic imperative. The other roles in his life I was reading off were roles in interaction as behavior, as himself with others. This is simply the genetic imperative to bond. This is all about bonding. It's called the channel of mating. It's unconscious in him. So sometimes Donald Trump was mating with people that he didn't even necessarily want to be with. It was unconscious in him. And I don't know if the children we know about are the only children Donald has.
That's an interesting comment.
Donald
yes.
may not know if the children that he has are the only children he has. I don't know. And this is not that Donald's good or bad about that. It's just the genetic way. The genome only wants to make more. They don't care about our manners on the surface. All they care about is making more. Donald Trump is a design of making more. It's a powerful WA channel, meaning it's always there to lead an organization and empower the leadership of the organization. A WA is just a different, basically it's a life force that's not in form. It's a form without a physical form. We have it happening around us all the time. A church is a WA organization. It will act in its own best interest. And this organizes itself all around us. The whole planet is organized in these WA formations and in these penta formations. They are formless beings. They become something that the group makes. And people aren't even aware of that. You get into a penta, a 5 or 6, 3 to 5 person group or a little bit more. Suddenly, everyone starts taking on a role that they can't help. You know, you go to family dinner and suddenly if you were the clown, everyone treats you as the clown and everyone treats the older sister as the archetype of the responsible one. And everyone treats mom and dad a certain way. We all fall into our role. We can't help that. We try to break out of it. Now, you take this emotional definition, I call that the source wave. The source wave will cut your head off. It's a wave, don't forget. It's an emotional wave. And that wave, this is the generative source wave that fires up the human capacity to awaken emotionally. Donald Trump is firing up the emotional capacity of humanity to awaken to its emotional way. I'm not saying that he knows this, but the fact that his leadership kept showing up on the leadership stage, it's no wonder that suddenly his actions as president sort of, what did it do? It tore down the old foundations.
It did.
It did so as an authoritarian.
And an anarchist in the same sense.
Total anarchist in an emotional wave. Oh, yeah, I'm up on my wave. You're going to follow along with me. When you have this wave, it's the aura breaker. If you have a gate 59 in your body graph, whether it's connected or not, his is connected, so it's powerfully connected. But whether it's connected or not, that 59 breaks down the aura of the other, even you manifestors. When a gate 59 comes into your aura, I'm sorry, it breaks down your aura. Shields may go back up, but it breaks through at least long enough to achieve the possibility of union. Union as a friend, as a colleague, as just a stranger of consequence.
What gate was that again?
Gate number 59 off the sacral.
59.
Off the red sacral pointing at the brown solar plex center on the right.
Yeah, this one.
Yep, gate 59. And it determines our role in intimacy and bonding. Gate 59 is about bonding, period. Its goal is to make more, period. So, but it can make more of everything. Genetically, it wants to make more babies. But in reality, it'll make more anything, make more friends, make more, again, colleagues, expand the family, make bonds with other people's families. You ever notice how he's always leaning into the family and the mother and the father of the person? He never just talks about the person. He always talks about their mother and father. Have you noticed that as he gives his speeches and he gives recognition to Susie and Juan and the person that was in the army, the person that had a loss, the person that had an amazing story. He always goes out of his way to give kudos to mom and dad. That is unconscious in him. He may think, oh yeah, that's my strategy. I always make sure I do that. He's not making sure he does that. He just plain is that. He can't help but to want to also bond with the family. This is a tribal channel after all, and the tribe is about support. So when people get around Donald, they feel supported. So if you notice, he's got lots of very loyal followers.
Yes.
Loyal, like crazy ass loyal. He promotes that in them through his tribal definition, which is keynoted with support. He must support the tribe. That's why when he runs for office, when he says he's going to do something, essentially, he feels like he has to supportively follow through on the stuff he's going to do. You can always notice when Donald's in trouble, he does start to double talk. When he says it's going to be the greatest thing ever too many times in a row, it's because he doesn't know what's going to be the greatest thing ever yet. He has no idea. But he's so used to being a manifesting generator and he's so used to just figuring it out that he'll figure it out. But if you press him in the moment to prove it, he doesn't have the proof. And in a candid moment, he would gladly say, you know what? I don't know yet, but it's still going to be the greatest thing ever. And he gets away with it because his aura breaker just broke down your aura and established a connection for the potential of bonding, of union. But it's in an emotional wave, and I call this the source wave. It planes along, Jen. It looks like this. It's like a little straight line, and it's very emotional. It's hot. It's a hot channel. And it spikes up because it feels good. We have bonding, we have union, we have all kinds of stuff. And then suddenly it'll spike down like hard. And in that spiking down, look out. He'll chop your head off. He will cut the head off that beast. So as soon as the company's no good, as soon as the thing's no good, as soon as whatever it is, it didn't go the way he had intended it, and he figured it was supposed to be because he's the boss, he tears it down. He cuts the head off the beast immediately. And this is a large part of this cult of personality that people really dug in him. You know, when they just dig it in him. And I see why they dig that. You know, they have every right to. As much as people might disagree with this, he's a very effective leader. He's an incredibly effective leader. He's got sustainment in his creative way. So I want a leader that will sustain at what they creatively chose to tear down and challenge. Give me a leader that will sustain at the stuff that they tore down and are rebuilding as a new foundation. Remember, first lines build a foundation in that profile, and third lines keep a close eye for the trial and error that will be needed in case I need to tear it down. So trial and error on a third line, foundation building on the first line. So trial and error. Donald will try anything. You know, I mean, he will literally try anything. I rather like that quality in a leader, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, we saw a bunch of different things that he has done over his lifetime.
Right. And because of his unwillingness to fail, what happens? Bankruptcy, do it again. Now, people have shamed him for that bankruptcy because undoubtedly he has left a lot of carnage in his wake. I bet you there are up to 2,000 to 3,000 families that could come forward and say his bankruptcy's ruined my business. I don't know if it's thousands, hundreds, maybe. It's many. I promise you there are families that will step forward and say his choices in business ruined my business. I bet you that's true.
I think I've come across recordings like that. Yep.
I haven't come across any specifically, but I just know they have because that's in his design. He would have come across that. So the next thing, also totally unconscious. Remember, if it's unconscious, it comes out of a tunnel. He doesn't know until it shows up. So that crash wave. No, Angela Jolie had this on our last week's episode. It's very sexual. 36 to 35. 36 says crisis. I bring crisis. I will bring, and it's on the far outside, so it's collective.
I was just about to say that. Yeah. It's collective.
So let me share my crisis with you. The crisis. Yes, and Donald did a reasonably good job of sharing his crises with us.
Yes.
And good, because what crisis is really trying to do, it's the human experiential way that simply wants to turn inexperience into experience, and what ultimately becomes gate 35. And the human experiential way is not complete until there's been progress. I did it. I jumped off the building and my parachute opened and I lived. I did it. I started the business. We almost failed. We didn't fail. We failed and then unfailed. I did it. Progress. Gate 35 is keynoted with progress. It wants to get it done. It wants to finish the process of hunger, the hunger of 36, to just get out of the nervousness of the inexperience and the not knowing into the progress that got it there. So every time he got something done, that man was like, bam, you always saw that bam, and he was always pointing at everyone, right? That was his thing. He would always point at people in the audience whenever the progress was there. It's an emotional wave, just like Angela Jolie, the crash wave. When it's way up on its wave and that source wave down below, when these things are kicking, Donald Trump is intoxicating to be around. I have absolutely no doubt that he had sex with many women. I have absolutely no doubt that these women were intoxicated with him. I have absolutely no doubt that I really doubt there are any instances really where the women weren't intoxicated, making it essentially consensual. Whether they regretted it 10 minutes later or not, it's not the point. Whether he, coerced them because he's got so much money and people were so, intoxicated with all of that and allure. Hey, did he take advantage of it? Guaranteed, because he would see the thing and his channel of mating would sexualize his body, and his channel of basically transitoriness, wanting to have the experience, would force him into bed. And the next thing you know, they're humping. What are you going to do? That was similar with Angela Jolie. You can't judge Angela Jolie for having had that channel. It's not her fault. You can't judge, it's not Donald's fault that this is there. When you grow older, we anticipate you grow wiser. I would like to think Donald has grown wiser, and whatever were the things of the past that people would want to shame him for, that, whatever. He's like, whatever. That was then. This is the great channel of been there, done that. And I've heard him say that. We've been there, we've done that. We've done that. We're not doing that again. Been there, done that.
Been there, done that.
So in that wave, I have witnessed times where Donald Trump has been very low on his wave. I've been watching this chart for a little while now. And I've seen him when they were keeping people 6 feet apart. I saw him giving an interview once, and everyone, they were like 12 feet apart practically. And he was talking across. He didn't want to be there. His body motion, his everything was, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. It just wasn't good for him. But he couldn't quite get up and walk away because he was the president. But I wouldn't have been surprised. Has he gotten up and just simply walked out? He has, right?
I think he has.
And he's said absolutely obnoxious things on the way out. Go pound sand. I don't care. Whatever. You'll figure it out.
Yes, he has.
Well, welcome to the channel that is another. So he's got 2 of 3 manifesting channels. So he's a very powerful manifesting generator. He can't help it. Actually, this is interesting. Angela Jolie had this channel too, the ego. So he's a powerful ego being, and he loves to roar. Donald Trump is happiest when his ego reward comes in. See gate 21 off the top of that red ego? It goes straight to the throat.
Yes, right here.
Right here, right up. That's the channel of materialism. That's the channel of money. Donald Trump was always going to run into a lot of money. Donald Trump was always, and it's another powerful, quote, WA channel, W-A. And as soon as he's in groups of 9, or as soon as he's in groups of more than 9, he's the king and the queen of the WA. And he's got the enforcer below in that 59-6. It enforces his power in large groups. So people wonder why he's so powerful in large groups. How the hell did he get elected? He was in a large group and all of his WA channels were kicking, and he had to have the experience. He couldn't get away from it. And here comes this channel of materialism. Gate 21 says, I'm in control. I'm in control. I'm the hunter. I'll control that thing. And gate 45 says, I'm the king. I'm the king of that thing. I have. And don't tell me I don't have, because if you tell me I don't have, I'm going to go out and make sure I have. It's an ego hot channel. It's hot-headed at times. So I don't know if we have any examples of him being hot-headed, but he's been hot-headed.
And don't you have some clips we're going to go over?
Yes, we can play those clips in just a moment. Yeah, and you can tell he's heating up. His emotional awareness is saying, this isn't the right experience for me, 35, 36. I'm not doing so good with this. I'm going to crash in on them. His channel of intimacy is turning into the samurai sword it's meant to be. I mean, it's a very powerful channel. It will chop your head off, and it will make you feel like the most important thing in the world, period. And again, that's why people come into his aura. I've heard stories that as soon as you meet Donald Trump, there's something so warm and loving about the man. Mm-hmm. When I saw this body graph, I had absolutely no doubt that this man is not involved in anything child-oriented. When I say not involved, he would be more. I would peg this design to be more the champion of children than I would the last design before that we saw, because this WA channel is all about making children, and it's supportive. It must make the children. So my guess is when Donald says, I want to stop child trafficking, the authoritarian in him says, fuck that, I'm going to stop child trafficking. The experience of wanting to catch those bastards and watch them hang is like, he's okay with that. I've heard him say it. No president has ever said, oh, yeah, let them die. No, we're going to kill them. They never use kill and die in their politically correct language. I have heard Donald Trump say, no, we got in there, we killed them. We're going to kill them all. I've heard him say that's that source wave. That's the king and the queen talking. Sorry, you messed with our tribe, our American tribe. And I'm sorry, no. The enforcer steps in, gate 21, takes control and says, no. And it's not afraid to take on the responsibility. If it's awake, if it's still afraid of everything and he's living out totally who he's not, it'll make up excuses and say all kinds of crap that's not true, But if it's somewhat awake in himself, after watching Donald long enough, I came to the conclusion that, well, I doubt he understands his body graph in the ways you and I are learning, Jen, and really becoming one with ourselves. He still is awake to at least his nature. That's my guess about Donald Trump. Angela Jolie from last week, I'm not so convinced of that. She's still got maybe more years to go. I'm not sure, but I'm not convinced she's actually awake to her nature. I don't know. They can tell me. But Donald, if you want to call in and ask some questions, we'll find out if you're truly awake to your nature. I'm guessing you are more awake to your nature than maybe most people.
I would say yes.
We're on a planet where I can promise you 99.99% of all the people are not awake to their nature, period. So that's what we're here doing, Jen. We're here turning that 99 around. We want to be at 50-50 by the time you and I are done with our process here on this plane. That would be really good. But that channel of the ruler, the king and the queen are always supposed to educate. I would have pointed that out last week. That gate 45 coming off his throat that says, I have or I don't have. What he's got is the will of the people or not. If he does not have the will of the people, he must continue to educate them as to what is the tribe. He has done nothing but stand forward with educating people. We need border security. We're getting the money back. China's going to pay their debts. I'm getting out of NATO's going to pay up. These are all things that the channel of money does. Pay up. The deal is the deal. You pay up right now. Paris Accord, that's no good for us right now. No good. That's not good for my tribe. I'm not bringing back the resources. The king and the queen must bring back the resources to the tribe, or the tribe will revolt. And every good 2145 recognizes I am here, but for the grace of my leadership of the tribe successfully. If it's not successful, they're going to storm my castle and cut my head off, proverbially speaking, like they did in the French Revolution days. So you take all of that ego blustering and you add that gate 26 off of the ego that comes off and it points out and it doesn't finish up. So the ego gate 26, it points off to the left.
Yeah. Yep.
And that is, yes, this is the egoist. And that's what people hate the most about Donald or love the most about Donald. The egoist. It's called, the old I Ching called it the taming power of the great. Donald will always tame the power of the great. Putin, we got along okay. You know, Xing over in China, he said some stuff, I said some stuff. He's always going to tame great power.
I have that.
You have that, yes. It's also the gate of the trickster. Every once in a while, this gate has to get tricky because it's got to tame great big power. Now, that's tribal. That's there in support of the tribe. If it's not self, it's the salesman that's willing to just lie to you and tell you anything and be a total trickster just to make a sale. If it's awake in the person, it's not willing to just go that distance. It wants to tame the big things into something that is tribally supportive and ensures, get this, the material success of the tribe. The egoist can't have its ego reward until the material success of the tribe has been had. When they said close down your country, no good. When he tried to reopen and they stopped him and everything sort of kept getting convoluted and he suddenly was surrounded by forces that were no good for him, he didn't know what to do. He had to tear stuff down and he didn't have enough time. So he couldn't build a foundation. No wonder he thought buying a bunch of ventilators was a good idea. He didn't know. You know what I'm saying? You know, we found out throughout the process, by the time the election process was over, everybody knew ventilators was a death sentence. It was too late because of his great ego, willpower, and that source wave that controls giant organizations. He had GM and Ford geared up to like make ventilators or something, didn't he? He had outfits.
I don't remember exactly what was going on.
I don't remember which companies, but I remember he was like, we're fantastic. We're the best ventilator maker on the planet. We got more ventilators than everybody. This is Donald. That's his big fat ego talking. He can't help that. Stop trying to make Donald help having a big fat ego. Elect it or don't, but when you elect it, let it run. Let it roar. This thing is supposed to roar. We did that. Notice every rally he goes to, he surrounds himself with suddenly thousands of people. That's not an accident. It's these powerful WA channels in this single definition. There's no breaks in this definition. Jennifer, you and I both are split definitions. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we get stuck at our split. We don't quite know what to do. Donald has no split in his definition. It just acts right now, right in the now. He's always right now. That's how he rolls. He can't help that. Mm-hmm. And how is he right now? He's right now supportively. He's right now shared. He's right now in control. He's right now as the king and the queen. He can't help that stuff. So he was born to lead a nation.
Yeah.
I mean, and companies, and he was born to get into bankruptcies and then tear them down. He was born to make company after company. He was born to say, you know what, as the authoritarian and the boss, I know this company is failing, but I'm going to take on more debt quickly before they know I'm failing. He did this with one of his companies, and he made himself too big to fail. That was his strategy, as to not fail. And he wanted to experience that. He wanted to experience all that debt, and then the ultimate success of selling that great big casino it was that he sold that paid back that debt or did whatever. And he probably renegotiated that debt because he's in control. 2145 would have renegotiated that debt and said, no. You know, hey, you'll be lucky if I pay you back 20 cents on the dollar. I'm giving you 50. Take it or leave it. So, you know, as a businessman going up against him, I wouldn't want to. As a leader of a country, I have to tell you, I want him back. I think I want him back. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I think I want him back unless someone else shows up that has basically these characteristics. He was a powerful, powerful leader. He couldn't help it. Is he the people's leader for all the people? No. Some people can't stand him because we've been trained to not like ego beings. And everyone on the planet tries to knock him down. Jennifer, you have a defined ego. How many times have the people tried to compete with you?
Oh, all the time. A lot of the times. Not all the time. I'll rephrase that. A lot of the times it happens. And it happens, what I notice it's happening with people that I'm not even trying to be competitive with in the first place. Like it comes out of nowhere.
You wouldn't know.
Yes.
It wouldn't have occurred to you because you are it. You are the ego. Why would it occur to you to be something you already are? It doesn't occur to a frog that it's a frog. It's like it is the frog. It doesn't need to think about being the frog or the bird or the dog. And it's the same thing here. So here's a man who absolutely cannot help but to control his surroundings and get his ego reward. If you haven't a defined ego, please roar. My friend John, he's got a powerfully defined ego. And when he gets his ego reward, I've seen that man take that ego reward and live on it for months. I did it. I killed it. I did it. I got it. And as soon as somebody comes up against him, his powerful ego says, he tames that power. He's got the taming power of the small in that whole channel. So he transmits the message. He finishes the transmission of the message. You're not going to tame me. I'm taming you. And then he takes control. He can't help it.
Okay.
That's perfect for him.
You just designed, you described something that I recognized in myself.
Care to share?
No.
Okay, good. Last channel.
It was a situation, but we'll talk about it later. But
Okay.
yes, okay, I recognize that in myself.
And it's roar, Jennifer, roar.
It did.
Roar, Jennifer, roar. Every time you did it, roar.
As soon as I felt like someone was taking over, it was like, oh, no.
Oh, no. Right.
I'm going to dominate.
Right. You can't help it.
I couldn't.
And
the other person got offended.
Well, but that was correct for you. If you guys had both been aware of your mechanics back at the time, assuming this is a number of years in the past or whatever, in the past, we didn't know this stuff back then. We didn't know to say, what the open ego people do is they feel so intimidated, they feel worthless around this person or not worthy or not good enough. And that's why they try to compete. So
that was exactly what it was.
It's their not self trying to compete. That's what it is. So it's not Donald's fault that people are always taking a shot at him. It's the people's is not self that's taking a shot at him. Let the man roar. I say give him another 4 years and let him roar. Let him roar, and see what we get out of it, because he is a design to not quite fail. He's a design to break down the things that fail. He's a design to make foundations. He's had 4 years to build a foundation and 2 years off to go inside and look at what that foundation is. I don't want that going to waste. He's got 6 years in school of president school. He's got 6 years in president school. That's a foundation he's been building. Don't waste it. I'm just so bummed that it's being wasted at this point. And by the way, I wasn't that bummed before I started reading, but now that I hear what's coming out, I'm recognizing I'm bummed that it's being wasted. Last channel. That channel that connects is Ajna. So this man has a busy brain, and it likes to talk. So this man can talk. He always talks. And guess what that channel is? That channel is the channel of opinions. It's always going to make an opinion. It's got its busy Ajna that's got gate 11, great ideas. When I say great ideas, a great amount of ideas, always pouring through this logical gate 17 that has this recognition that I can share my opinion with you. And what's it backed up by? Gate 62, details. So if I keynote this whole chart, here's a man who's going to our gate 12, articulate the ideas that pour through in the form of opinions of what we should logically do to move successfully into the future, backed up with lots of details, in control, that will roar over its successes, that it will cut the head off the thing that doesn't let it succeed, and will go through a big fat crash wave up and down through pain and hope and pain until it reaches progress. That's Donald Trump. So we also need to have some compassion for Donald. He's he's defined emotionally twice. He lives in a hope to pain wave. And if he's not fully aware of how that brings him wisdom over time, then he gets caught up in that. And he has moments of feeling terrible. And he's got to be allowed those moments. Just period. Anyone who's emotional knows that when they're down on their wave, that's their place to go get this rich, fertile awareness. Now, if we can pull up a few. Can I point out one more thing on his design?
Yes, absolutely.
We haven't dealt with this in our demystifying design, and we won't. But it's the arrows at the top of his body graph.
Okay.
You recognize that top right arrow, Jen?
The top right?
The top of that one right there. It's pointing to the
Yes.
right.
That he's right brain.
He's right brain. So that man is open and receptive to all the stuff coming in. Now, that can leave a person terribly confusing if they don't have his foundation, if they don't have all the details, if they think they're supposed to respond, if they don't know. That can be a lot because it's not there to be strategic. It's there to be drawn from. So as he builds his foundations being a president and he's got all these experiences, they will now draw from this great well that gets built up inside of him that becomes a well of an ocean. Everything that has happened to him in his whole life has gone into that right-mindedness. And while he can't always go in and get it himself, he can certainly have it drawn from him, like press briefings. You ever notice in press briefings, the people ask something, fake news, it comes right out. He can't help that. That's being pulled from his ocean. That has become, if you're right-minded, you have great awareness constantly brewing inside of you. You're actually advancing consciousness on this planet. And people are probably gagging right now who don't like Donald Trump, saying, oh, gag me with a spoon, because they think he brings no awareness. I'm sorry. Donald brings incredible awareness to this planet.
And look
at the awareness he brought to this country by tearing down and being an anarchist.
Yes.
He's brought in a great deal of this crunching, grinding towards awareness. He can't help it. He's right-minded.
Yes, I would totally agree with that.
We're headed.
The term, the Great Awakening started right when the election and all that came in. So it all fits the theme.
It totally fits the theme. Now that you mention it, he couldn't help it. He couldn't help it. And that gate 12 in him, which is in his personality son, has to articulate. And it won't articulate until it has a foundation. So here's a man who must articulate the ideas of his foundation once he has them, and once they're able to be drawn out, and suddenly he's a manifesting generator getting it all done fast. Why? To satiate his hunger for progress. How? Through the emotional source wave that will empower all of it. Where? In control of every last thing, because he's got the channel of control. With what? All the great ideas that came flying through his opinion matrix that is filled with concepts that can't stop. And because they can't stop, they keep gathering details. Here's a man who's loaded with details. You ever notice it looks like he doesn't have any notes, yet he's able to keep pulling up stuff in debates and talks and this and that about the other? Oh, yeah, well, you're a criminal. Oh, yeah, well, you're this. Oh, yeah, well, you're that. He's always got the details on the other. Here's a guy who I wouldn't want to cross if he knew too much about me and I had a bunch of dirt. He will get drawn out of all the dirt that someone had on them, and he'll have it in 2 seconds. I wouldn't be surprised if the oligarchy on top of the planet want to shoot him dead at one point, because he's loaded with details. So, Donald, whoever you've got around you protecting you, you keep your eye on the ball and keep yourself protected, because with all this power, the WA influencers above us, they may want you dead at some point. I mean, I'm just saying it like it is. I don't know if that's true, but I said it. So pull up some of these. Do these videos play?
Yes, they do.
Oh, that's so cool. We're going to laugh our ass off. So can you pause it? We're at the beginning, right? This was one of the first or second debate with Hillary Clinton on the first presidential election. And watch what was drawn out of Donald that he could not help but to say, and watch the tribal leadership and the confidence, the ego roar that is inside of him, and watch the source wave that's willing to cut off the head. Watch all that stuff. Play. Yep. Oh, no sound. Back it up.
It should come through.
You can just see it written all over his face, by the way. Anderson is such a tool.
Should we do a replay or go to the next?
I couldn't hear any of that.
You couldn't hear it?
No, did you hear it?
I heard it.
Okay. Was it?
But if you did not hear it,
let me make sure. The one where he said, "Yeah, you'd be in jail, right?"
Yes.
Okay, one more time. If I don't get sound, and I'll tell you when to stop it because I can lip read.
Okay. Did you hear it?
Nope. No. I don't hear it. You can pause it now. No, I didn't hear it. But the thing is, I played this over enough. I know exactly what was said. And Anderson, poor Anderson, who's all shit-lived out, just wants everyone to shut up. He wants, don't you speak. You know, he's just all crazy. Everyone shut up. You see him, he's getting all unhinged there.
We should do his chart next.
Yeah, he's a tool. Fuck you, Anderson. You're a tool of the establishment. You know it. But yes, you saw his frustration. He's like, you gotta shut up. So still don't play this one yet. So there he was, or you'd be in jail. It's a good thing we don't have Donald in charge of the laws of this country. Hillary saying with her smile and her this and her that. Now that may have been just right for Hillary. I don't have her chart, but the truth is, whether it was just right for her or not, I don't know. And no harm, she's allowed. But the tribal leader said, "Yeah, that's right. You'd be in jail." And you see how it just came out of his mouth? He couldn't help it. Go to the next one.
Hold on, I'm pulling it back up, seeing if it should play the sound. I don't know why it's not.
Well, I got good at lip reading, by the way. So I can sort of read lips, not super well unless I've seen it.
Yes, but it should still play the sound, and I don't know why it's not, guys. I'm sorry.
So this one is Joe Biden, and watch how we can't help but to interrupt him. This is his right now being aware.
Can you hear it?
I didn't hear it. What did he say? Which one was this?
This one was keep yapping. And I'm so sorry, guys. If you can't hear it, I will definitely work on that.
And what did Donald say?
Hold on. Come on.
I'll read his lips.
It's slow. It's dragging.
Okay. That's okay. So he said keep yapping, and what did Donald say?
Donald said keep yapping. The people understand 47 years you've
That's
done
what I was looking for. That's the tribal leader. Did you see the confidence in his face of what he knew the people would understand? God, I hope we can hear this one, but don't play it yet. So the tribal leader in Donald Trump, before when he said the people will understand, that was his awareness that he speaks for the people. Whether he correctly speaks for the people, people can argue about that. But the energy genetically in his body is to be the king and the queen, the leader of the tribe, and speak for the people. That's what he said in the previous clip. Don't worry, the people will understand, Joe. It's like, yeah, Joe's like, yeah, but if we can ever get something done, I was like, yeah, the people will understand. And he was right. He was right.
Yes.
The people voted for him overwhelmingly. This last one is Nancy Pelosi's off in the background, and I didn't want to get too many clips on this because it just would take too long. But here he is, a good tribal leader. You know what says, "I'll go it alone" when he's with the other tribal leaders. So Chuck Schumer is the leader of the tribe in the Senate, the Democratic tribe. Nancy Pelosi on the other side is one of the leaders of the House of Representatives tribe. And Donald Trump is the leader of the American tribe. So that's his position. And finally, he gets sick of it and everyone's playing political football about not shutting down the government and not shutting down the government. And Donald just finally takes a tribal, ego, powerful, roaring stance that says, "Oh yeah, I'll cut the head off this serpent for you, Chuck. If you want it, I'll take it on myself. I'll take on the mantle. You're right. I won't even blame you for it. You're right. I'm going to shut down the government. If we don't get a wall, I'm shutting down the government. I'm shutting down the government." Just no. Now that's so politically uncouth. Everyone would be like, "Well, we have to discuss this," and da 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 da. Earlier on, Nancy Pelosi said, "This is really something we should be talking about in private." He's like, "I know you'd like it in private, Nancy, but this is about transparency, so you're not getting your privacy," he says to her, just right to her face. And notice the body language of Chuck Schumer. All this powerful emotional energy of Donald Trump faces the person that he's working with. He can't help it. And Chuck Schumer can't help but to put his body facing away. He's afraid of that energy, nervously inside. Mentally, he may not be afraid. He may feel like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to hear," but his body keeps trying to get away from that powerful source wave that's inside of Donald Trump that's slicing him up right now. It's penetrating him. It's the aura breaker. He's breaking down poor Chuck Schumer's aura. Listen, I'm just treating Chuck Schumer as a person. I'm pretending he's someone's grandpa. You know what I mean? So, and I'm pretending Donald Trump is someone's grandpa. So, Donald Trump it's got this wave and it's slicing up Grandpa Schumer. You know what I mean? And Grandpa Schumer's like, "This isn't comfortable to me. I don't like it." And all he can do is put his body language away. And if you'll notice, Chuck Schumer looks away so much throughout all of this. But he's saying in this clip, "I'll do it. Okay, I'll do it. I'll shut down the country." There, you happy? Huh? You think that's going to get your political points? I'm shutting down the country, everybody. You got it? I'm going to shut it down. We're going to shut down the government. Fuck you. I'm doing it. That's what he's saying in that clip.
Where is it? Where'd it go?
And it's just so typical of a tribal leader. I'll take it on.
If we don't get what we want one way or the other,
Yep.
I will shut down.
Look at Chuck. He's trying not to look at him.
Yep.
You see? He just won't look at the guy.
Come on. Bandwidth is bad.
That's okay. We get the idea.
Yes.
It's the power. Even Mike Pence, look at his stance. Mike, you don't have to go back to it. Notice how Mike Pence was pulled away. Mike Pence was sort of leaning back a little bit, if you notice that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
When Donald Trump is in mode and those emotional waves are kicking and they're sort of a little bit in turbulence because he's not sure if he's going to attack or not. He's got this ego willpower that will or won't attack and chew it up. He's got this emotional crash wave that is trying to have the experience that he wants. He's got this emotional source wave that is literally empowering and generating the emotional source of his wave in the first place. And then he's got a pile of details with the opinions based on his ideas that he can articulate. Gate 12 in his body graph is in his personality sun. He will articulate. I'm going to read that off. The driving force in Donald Trump's genetic way, as far as his definition goes, is withdrawal that can only be maintained with communal support. He's got the support of everyone around him. He withdraws. He comes back out to this meeting. And in that support, suddenly this man is able to do whatever he needs to do, regardless of the support of others. That's what the withdrawal gives him. So the withdrawal was the night before when he was figuring out what was going to go on with these clowns. Chances are Donald Trump watches people, literally watches videos of them and just lets them go into his right-minded ocean and just watches it go in. And he had one little piece of notes on the desk. All it was just some numbers, and he put it back on the desk because he never wants to be bogged down with notes if he can help it. So what's in his ocean can keep coming out. This is another reason I think Donald Trump is more awake than not, at least to his own nature, because he keeps doing things in his daily life that I notice in his presidential life that are right in line with how he's designed. If you're right-minded and you know the subject matter because you've got a foundation, you don't need notes. You start talking. You know, I have notes. I have a book open, and I've used it once. I get into the book so I could read a thing, and that was it. You know, but this caution and the standstill he has in the way he articulates is this quality of restraint that stops having its restraint once the meditation is over and inaction is no longer required. It's called the gate of caution. But don't forget about the binary. It's the gate of caution until it's open and in motion. Then the caution be damned. Chuck, I'm shutting down the freaking country. And you know what? I'm an ego being. I'll take it onto myself. I'll own it. And you know what? It's got to feel good to me. So I'm fucking telling it to your face right now, motherfucker. See if they deal with that. What, you're not looking at me because you're a big fat pussy? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and have a bunch of details about all that. And I'm going to point it out to you. And okay, meeting's over because you obviously don't want to be here. You freaking big fat baby. And consider the government shut down until you build my goddamn wall. I'm the freaking king. I am the leader of this tribe. We're building a wall. I don't want the other tribe next door just coming into our tribe. They can't come in. They can't come in. They can come in through legal means. Legal means. That's it. That was his whole stand. He ran on that.
He did.
Yep. He ran on draining the swamp, and I wish he drained it a little bit more, but maybe he'll get a chance to.
Well, it's not over yet.
Yeah. So, I don't know what else I could say about Donald Trump. I hope he doesn't feel that he has to look for love and direction. I hope at his age, he's come to realize that he is the knower of love and direction. Because if he is, the wisdom of the realizer of what is, if you have an open G center, the potential is there to be wise on what is love and direction. Period. All of it. For that one, for this one, for that country. This open G center, I have absolutely no doubt, allowed him to recognize the love and direction of these bad leaders he had to meet with. Xi Jinping from China, the North Korea little midget guy, Putin, who's a killer. Putin's a killer, dude. If you took Putin against any of the other leaders, I bet you Putin could put him down in a minute or two. I mean, just because it was lethal training. He had lethal training as a child, right? He was in that Gestapo version of whatever it's called in Russia.
Yes, we'll have to do his chart too.
Okay, yeah, he's a powerful manifester. I wouldn't mind doing that. I would like to see a little more current events on him so I could sort of speak to the current events of the day and other events. But we'll do all kinds of charts. Maybe people will throw in charts they want to see done. I wouldn't mind doing Russell Brand next.
Did we get his time?
I've got his. I found it online, and it fits the man. The one thing that is odd is it says 12 midnight, so it's right there on zeros, and I find that suspicious.
I'm glad you mentioned that, guys. Watching this, we are definitely pulling the information off the internet, so do give and take about the birth time because we're trying to find birth time. So if you are suggesting somebody that you want us to do, make sure that you do find the information, send us a DM and we can do that. But I noticed on Donald Trump's, because we have looked at some other celebrities or famous people, players in our collective, and the times seem to be just like, 12 o'clock or 12:30 or something accurate. But Trump's is actually, I would say, an honest time, 10:54 a.m.
Yep, a.m. So I would suggest it is too, because I got it from a couple of trusted sources who are also design readers. One of them was one of my teachers who I want to have on the show at some point.
Absolutely.
So shout out to Barbara Ditlow and a shout out to Dr. Margaret Starkweather, who are half the reason I'm even here. So I got this through them, and they have been, there's a Donald Trump human design forum. So apparently he's attracted the attention of lots of people.
Okay.
Yep. They love talking about him apparently. So.
Well, I think tonight's was an excellent show. I think you hit on Donald Trump very well.
Yep, I like it. I absolutely love it. He's driven to do things. He's absolutely under pressure to be in a hurry. I think he's gotten a good handle on that. Thinking about things that don't matter. My guess is he's gotten a handle on that over time. Because again, we get smarter as we get older, and he's not 50 anymore. He's not even, what is he? He's like 70 something. So going to give him the benefit of the doubt that those years have helped him to quiet his busy mind of thinking about things that don't matter and holding on to things that aren't good for him. I hope that for him. Otherwise, I see the design of someone who's an effective leader, and I'd vote for Donald. I don't know if I should be saying that on the show or whatever, making political affiliations, but I don't give a fuck. I think this is a design of a leader. That's all. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think it should matter if anybody watches our show, and I'll just say this. If you are triggered by political views, we invite you to get your human design done and let's do further investigation.
Absolutely. And stay with it, guys. If you're triggered by some stuff, they're just words. You have your
It's
thing
just
on
words.
mind. We're supposed to practice getting along and communing in this great American experiment that we're in. We can't let it die. Don't let America die. It's just it's going down, and there's lots of things that could happen. This Constitution is special on this planet, and it was drafted by in a special time when we were in mutation, becoming nine-centered beings. The Constitution actually reflects what we are supposed to be. Accidentally, they didn't know, but they did it anyways. My guess is the genes were doing the penning of the Constitution, not so much the men that authored it.
I wonder if we could do their charts.
That would be exceedingly difficult because no one knows what times back then.
True.
Sure. I would have profiles all wrong and stuff, but the dates are there. Listen, anyone looking for a chart online, the dates are always there. You can always find a celebrity's date, and in their bio will always say when they were born. It's the time. Look them up on astrology charts. Check out what others have said. Draw a consensus, and then send it in.
Absolutely. All right, Dan, do you have anything else that you'd like to add? We'll wrap up the show.
No, let's wrap it up. USA.
USA. Thank you guys for everybody who tuned in. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. Don't forget to share this out. Please help us grow this channel. We are working on monetizing it, and we do have a show this Sunday. We are wrapping up season 1, so do make sure you tune into that. The time for that is 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yep.
So
and before you close, a shout out to Donald Trump. Donald, if you or any of your people see this and you recognized, oh my God, this man knows Donald and he's never met him, recognize, Donald, I have these skills. We have these skills. We can do this for anybody. So if you want this kind of information, which you really should, hit me up. I'm a patriot. I'll be there. And if you're not Donald Trump and you're a patriot and you need this information, we will be there. Jen and I will make sure it happens.
Absolutely. And if you are looking to find information about your human design, check the links down below. Like Dan said, we'll be here to help you out. So thank you, everybody who tuned in. With that said, thank you, Dan. Awesome show.
Awesome.
And we will see you guys on Sunday.
On Sunday. Rock and roll, baby.
All right.